Hello and welcome to the Scientific Investor channel. Here we provide you with daily cryptocurrency updates, news, chart analysis, and we discuss about different authors, their opinion, their perspective, and how it reflects in the price. So if you guys like the content I provide on a daily basis, do support the channel by subscribing. Now we will directly look at the cryptocurrency market on a 24-hour time frame. It looks a bit green. The positive side is okay, right? We are happy, but it's not that like 20, 30, 10, 15% like we used to get during our uptrend or the bull run. Now we are at the bottom. So getting this is also something which provides happiness, right? Now we will actually look at XRP on 4-hour time frame. Now we can see that the stochastic RSI is at the top around the overbought scenario, but most of the time when the price runs up high, you can see here the movement, and you can see the RSI reach there, and when the RSI was reaching the top, the price was still at the bottom or near the moving average, but when it was moving up high, it still remains there. So there is a possibility that it can remain there and then move up high, because if you see the MACD at that time, you can see that after multiple touches the MACD actually crossed to the upside. That's actually positive news in shorter time frame. But if we move back and look on a 12-hour time frame, you can see that the stochastic RSI is moving away from the oversold position and now moving towards normal trading area. And at the same time, the bad news here is that the 20-day moving average is actually crossing now the 200-day moving average, which means it's already crossed 50 and 100-day moving average. That's actually a bad news in 12-hour chart. So we'll actually analyze things for what it is. We don't actually run away from what things look like, right? If that's actually forming a negative pattern, we will discuss about the negative news and what type of actions we can take, like to be cautious and to reduce the risk exposure. So now looking at this, we actually previously discussed that the downtrend here is kind of valid, right? So it still remains. Now if we manage to break through this, that's positive news, but the negative one here is we are still below all the moving averages. Now in this I have actually plotted 20-day, 50-day, 200-day, 100-day moving averages. So at present we are getting a bit of bad news, like say the 100-day moving average has crossed down the 50-day moving average. The 20 is actually coming down to cross the 50-day moving average. So that's a bit of bad news. But in the same, if you look a bit towards the positive side, the 50-day moving average has managed to cross the 100-day moving average, but the price hasn't reflected that yet. Now moving into 1-hour chart, we get a bit of trend like this. We can see that the price is continuously moving downward. It reached here, consolidated, went back into the moving average zone or the trading range and came back down below the average, then again and again. So now we are within the moving averages. Now what if we are coming back down? What if we are going up high? So while comparing that, what we have to see is here when we were within the trading range, the MACD here was actually trying to cross towards the downside. The same is happening here. So that's a bit of caution for XRP. Now we will actually look at BTC and the opinion from a different news provider. Like for example, this one actually states, as you can see, he is pointing towards 6,700. So he's actually plotting the case for BTC to reach an area of price range around 6,700. So first we will see where the 6,700 is staying, right? This is the area of 6,700. So based on his analysis, this is where he's expecting the price of Bitcoin to be, either to get back in for a buy position or so. But yes, that was a previous resistance. Now hopefully it will be a support. But for me personally, I think this was a previous support and it is still intact. Thus If the price actually go below this current trading area, I actually think that there is a lot of buying power around 8,000 or below 8,000. So if it dips below 7,000, 7,500, I think there will be a lot of buyers coming in, pushing the price up. Because now moving back and looking at it on a daily time frame, we can see that the daily has crossed, and it's crossed from a couple of days, right? It's still moving down. The stochastic RSI is at the bottom, and as we talked about the RSI at the top, the same case can happen in the bottom too, right? So we zoom a bit more out and look at the weekly chart. We see that there is still a possibility, right? We are in between the 100-day moving average and 20-day moving average, and the 50-day moving average is still leaning towards upside, right? It's still moving in a positive direction. The 200-day moving average is moving in a positive direction. If we change the chart into a log scale one and zoom a bit out and look at the trend, we can still see that the 200-day moving average is rising, and it's around 5,000. So if we compare here, see the chart here, it will be somewhere above that. Once we cross that, okay, here the case is a bit different because the price bounced from there. And currently we have both the 50 and 100-day moving averages below the price, and 50-day moving average is looking to cross the 100-day moving average, which is in purple, 50 days in red. So once that cross, you're getting another golden cross for Bitcoin. That's actually a positive chance to buy. So if you are looking at this, say the price went up high, it corrected, now it is retesting that area, and if it breaks high, that is actually a buy signal. So in order to get that in a clear view, we can zoom in a bit, like plot a trend line there. I want to plot the bottom line, whereas only the top line. So if we are to buy in here, it should be somewhere above the trend line. Once we confirm that the trend has been broken and we are starting a new trend, so in that particular aspect, it's okay to buy in that. Now we'll look at the chart of Ethereum in USD. So the ETH USD chart, we will actually compare it with say XRP or BTC. So we actually had others who were in a bit different tent, because here for Ether we can see that it already made 3 bottoms here, so we can call this a triple bottom. And the price didn't make new low. Yeah, it didn't also make new high, but the price came back to the moving average range, then went below, came back, went below, came back. Now it's slowly moving above the moving averages. That's actually a positive sign. And now this is in a daily time frame, so that gives it more validity. Now we see that the long term, it has actually moved out of that. So zooming out from that, if we plot a longer term trend line, either you connect this or this, it's up to you. For this analysis, I'll be connecting these tops, say this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And what we can see is it's currently around that trading range, or the top of that trading range, but just a resistance at present. So once it break that, a new trend will actually begin. And all the moving averages which are currently below that will act as a support from that particular moment. If you zoom in and see that, we can actually see the 20-day moving average crossed the 50 and the 100. Now all the three, 20, 50 and 100 is more or less, this is a zoomed in view, right? So it's really closing in. So at this point there can be a price explosion there for ETH. Now that's just my opinion, and if I were to trade this, I will be buying the breakout or a retest. Now looking at LTC, the Litecoin in USD chart, this has more or less similar pattern with that of XRP. As we stated, the long-term trend has been broken, but the difference for Ether is it's still below that. It hasn't broken that trend line, whereas for LTC it just broke and it already retested that. Now it price to move up high, it's bouncing from the 50-day moving average, but it still has to manage to move above 20, 100 and 200-day moving average to confirm bull run from here at this point. So I will say that, say from here it went up high, then corrected back, now it will be moving up high. But now you also have to consider the worst case, right? If the price is falling back below the trading range, then you have to assume that the price is within the trading range and the bottom can be somewhere here around 43. So say the current price is around 60, 58, so 43 is way below. So if you are a long-term investor, your stop loss should be somewhere here. Or if you're a short-term trader looking for the up run here, then your stop loss should be somewhere here, just below that trading range. So if the price actually come back into the range, you should be taken out. But if the price is moving up high, that should give you significant profit in shorter time frame. Now looking at XLM to USD, we'll also see that it's also moving a bit similar to that of XRP, but when I say similar, there is a bit of difference, right? In the longer time frame, it looks more or less in the same way. But here we are getting multiple good news, like 20-day moving average crossed the 50, the price was moving up. The 20-day moving average crossed the 100, the price was moving up. Now the 50-day moving average is crossing the 100-day moving average and price is around 20-day moving average. Now what we have to see is, if the price actually starts to bounce, the stochastic RSI is at the bottom and it can move up high. So that will give it a long range. Say here, when the price was here and it was moving up high and the stochastic RSI was moving up high, it had a range to move up, say 10-20%. But here the 200-day moving average, which is shown in yellow, may act as a resistance. But if it managed to break that, that will give a long-term trend showing that the price is above the 200-day moving average. And this is 4 chart and it still looks not that bad. It still manages to keep up that trend line which it has started from the bottom. So the price hasn't visited the lower trend line yet, but it's still possible, it still can happen. So if we are looking to buy, I will say that you consider 2 areas, which is we can say one of this. When I draw the lines, it's not just my idea, but also I'm trying to connect, say this point, I connected this point, then I connected this point, then there are 3 points here, then a support here. These were resistance, but these are acting as a support right now. Now if we zoom in and see that the price is actually bouncing there, if you look at that, if you look at that, you can actually see a shaped candle bar, a bull or a green shaped bar. You see the red actually closed here, but the green managed to break above that, the close, and it came above the half of this candle. So for me that looks like a bit of reversal, and the reversal is at a support range. So I'll consider that as valid thing. But for confirmation, if it breaks above the 20-day moving average, that can be a good buy area. Now we'll actually jump into the news articles. So we'll start from the first one. Say got this as first. Crypto indicator signals huge spike in Bitcoin profit taking. So if guys are actually taking out their profits, the price should actually go down. But what I personally think is, look, the price actually went from 3,000 to around 14,000. So just to compare that, say we are looking at Bitcoin on a daily chart, we can actually see this. The price went from around 3,000 and it went and touched 14,000. Now say you're someone who got into the train somewhere here around 4,000 or 5,000, the price is now around 8,000. So yeah, it doubled your money. But if you were to take your profit around 10,000, 12,000, 13,000, 14,000, it would be a different case, right? So there is no sense in taking your profit right now unless you have that much confidence that the price is going to crash to zero or below where you bought. Because if the prices continue going up high, say you won't be able to buy a position again below that price. Say now if you have a position and if you are holding that around 3,500 and if you are going to take your profit around 8,500, say in a week the price just moved up around 9,000. So if you change your mind, you want to buy in, you'll be buying at that price range, right? So if you are a short-term trader, that makes your stop loss is a bit high. Now, if you're a long-term investor, yeah, you are holding the asset, then the stop loss doesn't matter. The moving average or your dollar cost average is not a problem. You can average it down or average it up. It's up to you. This one is actually related to XRP. Acquiring XRP at its current price is like buying a Bitcoin at $10. Now, this is something which I completely understand, because as far as the technology of XRP is considered, I consider it as superior to everything else. Being an expatriate, staying away from my country, sending back money to my home country, I feel like I'm being looted from banks from all these years. When I was in Middle East, when I'm here, it's still the same. Now I'm in South Korea, right? I'm an Indian. So now, when I say I'm an Indian, what I look at is India is a country with a humongous population, right? And there are a lot of people who work outside, send money back home. Now, if they are using this technology, that actually reduces their cost. That gives more buying power to the end consumer. Say I'm sending money to my home, they can actually now buy at least say $100 more. So when we, in developed nations, look at that, $100, it's not that much. But see, when I'm sending this $100 extra to my home country, see, that's in Indian rupees around 7,000 rupees. That gives you at least groceries and all the stuffs for 1 week. In India, at least in Kerala. So you have to actually look in that perspective. Currently, banks are not able to do that, but those who are tied up with Ripple is doing that. If you look at financial institutions like MoneyGram, Zenbi and others, they're doing the same. They are reducing the cost, they are reducing the friction. So that's all what the end customer needs, right? They don't need to know the technical things. Now this is, there are positive news, negative news everywhere, but what we have to look is both end, right? What it is, what the author is looking at, how they are trying to showcase that. For example, this one says that the big shot or not. So yeah, there may be big shots here because there are a lot of hype in this market. People are thinking that the Bitcoin is going to go up high. Now this one is for XRP USD. Now, if we actually go back and look XRP to BTC, the pattern you can see there is good. Like, at least for me, I'm happy with that, because what I can see is the price came below the moving averages. It went here, then it slowly went into the moving average and moved up high. If you look at here, you can see the same. It came below, traded there, consolidated there, went back into the trading range and pumped up high. So now we actually went below this. You can see that we consolidated, we capitulated, then we are moving back into the trading range, which actually gives, at least for me, I consider this as a bit of bull run. Now it's correcting. Now it has a moving average, 100-day moving average as its support. And if you look at the MACD, you can see that the chances of upside cross in daily to XRP BTC is still there. And if you see that, it tried once, twice, 3, 4. So now it's going to be the 5th time the MACD is going to try to cross upside. And if that actually happens, that should actually pump the price above the 200-day moving average. And if we look that, we can see this, that the price of XRP hasn't been staying about 200-day moving average. Now this is XRP USD, okay? XRP BTC, sorry about that, XRP BTC. So if the price is staying above the 200 moving average, it should actually start a new bull run there. Now this is what I was stating previously. Now if you look at this, I see this like, either you can call it a head and shoulder or a triple bottom. It's up to you. Different analysis can provide you with different results, but most of them are signaling that it has bottomed out. Now the price may actually move up high. Now it shows that the break. Now this one is XRP breakout from broadening wedge could lead to December lows. Now this one is actually showing you an entirely different analysis. I told you, different perspective gives you different results. What you have to do is try to understand where the support is, where the resistance is. At the end of the day, this is all human psychology, right? Where people thinks that it's cheap to buy in, or if it's expensive, I won't be buying in here. So in the same, if you're looking now, this is a long-term chart. Okay, I'll actually take out the RSI, take out the MACD. Now if you look at this, you can see that this is a long-term chart. Now if you put your support and resistance zones, we did that previously. Okay, this can be said as a 1. That here was a resistance, here was support. So now if we draw a range of support and resistance, the price of XRP is actually within that range. Now I would be cautious if the price is actually falling below particularly this area, say the previous touch, that's 0.22. So say if the price is going below that, then yeah, you should be cautious about your investment. But as of now, it's actually making a rounded bottom, or you can call it a triple bottom, or you can call a head and shoulders. It's up to you. But for me, it's a positive news. It's still staying above that, because if I'm looking at a longer term and I see the price was here just 2 years before, and those who are from traditional financial industry will be, I won't use that word, okay. When I say this, I say 5,000% rise when the price is already back from its all-time highs around 94%. Still, it's 5,000% above, just considering 2 years. So I'm happy with that. Now this one is crypto news from Japan. It's actually reviewing what happened during last week. Now these are all like still Silicon Valley, for drugs. There are still positive news, negative news. Like this one is actually positive news for XRP. The University of Kyoto is a XRP validator. The price of Bitcoin dipped to 6,700 after bouncing to 8,200. Now this is perfectly his opinion. I completely understand that each and everyone will have a different opinion here. Now if it dipped to that area, yeah, they will be buying that. Most of them will be buying that. But as they show that this area is currently acting as a support and resistance, until here it will act as that. Whenever the price is going down, most of them will be looking to buy in. Say this is the buying zone for some, and for some else it will be entirely different. Now last day I actually talked about Shanghai from China looking to close down crypto, or trying to crack down crypto trading, blah blah blah. Now they are actually going in a bit more. They're trying to close the crypto related business. Now that's like a bad news, right? Now XRP could breach pennant and climb to 0.28 in a week. Now that's positive news. Still I feel a bit funny about this particular title, at least, because when XRP pumps, it pumps like 20-30%. It's not like it will only go 5%, 10%, right? Anything can happen. This is crypto world. So for them, the trading range is like this. If it is breaking this trend line, then it may move up high, and it can actually reach way higher to 0.28, as this particular author states. It's way higher. Okay, I accept that. That's his view. Now this website, it's not mine, okay. It's a website which is named as cryptoeconomy.com. You can actually go in, you'll get a lot of news in this, like this one in one screen. So this one shows you Coinbase card adds support for 5 new assets and launches in 10 more territories. So they're actually widening their reach. And this one is like showing whether the price of Bitcoin is still in an uptrend or not. And the research firm says, so what? They say, is Bitcoin long-term uptrend intact? Yes, I also feel that. For me, I personally feel that, this happened previously. All the correction, a bit move upside, then the correction, then move up. So I'm happy with that. Now, this one is like, yesterday we talked about new corridors, so we were happy. Now the banking giant is saying that they're not utilizing XRP. Of course, it's not like they opened a corridor and the next day they will be using XRP, right? They will open first the corridor, they will do their transactions using, say, X current or the existing fiat currencies. Once they see that, yeah, there is enough liquidity and there is enough requirement, they will jump into the wagon. They don't have any other option. If they are doing so, say if they are using current and giving the customer around $10 as fee. And instead, if they are using XRP, they can give that in $2 or $3, right? So the end customer will be happy. Now this one, I'm happy with this. So this one is Russia, Japan Investment Fund invests in subsidiary of SBI Holdings. That is actually a good news. Good news for SBI, Ripple. So then this is something related to the last one. It won't be using XRP. Now he's actually trying to say that it's wrong. But once they actually see, like, if successful, they may implement ODL and XRP at a later stage. For me, on-demand liquidity and XRP is the same. So I don't consider it as different. Now I just want to end the video with this one. Say that Donald Trump is showing that Dow hits the all-time high and the opposition is trying to impeach him. So if something like that happens, yeah, the market will actually come down. At least I think in that way, because say he pumped up the market like this, pushing the Fed to lower the rates, giving the tax cuts and all. So if someone else is going to be there as a president, he may act entirely differently, right? So the investors' business will be worried about that. So the stock market can come down. And if that happens, it will be huge. Like say it's called a depression. Now he's saying if something like that ever happened, it would lead to the biggest fall in the market history. It's called a depression, not a recession. Now the particular thing I want to state here is, I was talking to one of my family members and I was stating the word depression. I was saying, most of the time there is a recession in every 10 years, and once in 100 years there can be a depression, like in early 1920s, 30s. I don't actually remember the exact date, but was during that time. So if it is to repeat, a lot of bad thing is ahead. I'm not sure about anything. Anyway, we'll actually wrap up our video here. We'll be back tomorrow with another crypto analysis, news updates. So if you guys like the content I provide, do subscribe. And if you guys like to alter something what I do give me it in comment section. So see you guys on my next video.